Shalom. All praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Rachah Kodash. Yahweh being the name of the Heavenly Father, whom this world ignorantly calls God, and Yahweh Shai being the name of his only begotten Son, whom this world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. In the name of the Holy Spirit, double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who rule well, and peace and mercy to the house of David, those men that are doing his work in sincerity and in truth across the four corners of the earth, pushing his word for the sake of Yahweh Bashem Shai. And much love to the 130 believers out there. To you all, I say shalom and greetings, and Lord willing, this lesson is edifying through the Spirit. All right. I'm going to entitle it something like cut the baby in half or something like that. As I was doing some reading earlier, and actually I thought about this account the other day, and a few things came to my mind. So I'm going to go to 1 Kings, the 3rd chapter. I'm just going to read a part of this, and then I'm going to skip down and pretty much get to the point. I got a few other scriptures to back it up. But this really is a lesson in how to properly judge. That probably, yeah, that's a good, how to properly judge, cut the baby or something like that. But I'm gonna read this. This is 1 Kings 3 and 5. It says, in Gibeon, the Lord Yahweh appeared to Solomon in a dream by night, and Yahweh said, ask what I shall give thee. And Solomon said, thou hast showed unto thy servant David, thy father, great mercy, my father, great mercy, according as he has walked before thee in truth and in righteousness and in uprightness of heart with thee. And thou hast kept for him this great kindness, that thou hast given him a son to sit on his throne as it is this day. O now, O Lord, my power, thou hast made thy servant king instead of David my father, and I am but a little child. I know not how to go in, how to go out or come in. And thy servant is in the midst of thy people, which thou hast chosen, a great people that cannot be numbered nor counted for multitude. Right? You Israelites, you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. It says, give therefore thy servant an understanding heart to judge thy people, that I may discern between good and bad. For who is able to judge this thy so great a people? And the speech pleased the Lord that Solomon had asked this thing. And the Most High said unto him, because thou hast asked this thing, and hast not asked for thyself long life, neither hast asked riches for thyself, nor hast asked the life of thine enemies, but hast asked for thyself understanding to discern judgment. Behold, I have done according to thy words. Lo, I have given thee a wise and understanding heart, so that there was none like thee before thee, neither after shall any arise like unto thee. And so, ultimately, if you can receive it, Solomon is Yahweh Shai, right? And so he gave him that knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, okay? And the humility that was in Yahweh Shai even at that time to ask for this instead of false worldly things. It says, and I have also given thee that which thou hast not asked, both riches and honor, so that there shall not be any among the kings like unto thee all thy days. And if thou wilt walk in my ways to keep my statutes and my commandments, as thy father David did walk, then I will lengthen thy days. So he's given him everything that he didn't even ask for and more, because he asked how to properly judge and govern over the nation of Israel. Right, so this is the point that I wanted to get to down starting at verse 16. It says, then came there two women that were harlots unto the king and stood before him. And the woman said, O my lord, I and this woman dwell in one house, and I was delivered of a child with her in the house. And it came to pass the third day that after I was delivered, this woman was delivered also, and we were together, and there was no stranger with us in the house, save we two in the house. And this woman's child died in the night because she overlaid it. Right? So you got two women that are in the house together. They both got pregnant. One got pregnant, and then 3 days later, another one got pregnant. And so it says she overlaid it. Right? And I'm going to come back to that as well, a point that I want to bring up. But it says, and she arose at midnight and took my son from beside me, while thine handmaid slept, and laid it in her bosom, and laid her dead child in my bosom. And when I arose in the morning to give my child suck, behold, it was dead. But when I considered it in the morning, behold, it was not my son which I did bear. So she looked, even though it's a newborn baby, she knows how her baby looked for them 3 days. It says, and the other woman said, nay, but the living is my son, and the dead is thy son. And this said, no, but the dead is thy son, and the living is my son. Thus they spake before the king. So both of them are giving contradicting stories before the king. One of them is saying, this is my baby, right? The dead one is hers. So they're both saying that about each other. So what do you do in a situation like this where you're presented with two people saying the same but opposite things about each other? All right. So this is where the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of Yahweh Shemel Shah is to kick in. Okay. As a matter of fact, let me see if I want to grab any of my other interim precepts. Oh, that's Satan for you, boy. Jake had screenshotted some precepts, and of course now none of them are here. What are the odds? Oh, there they go. It took a while to click in. Call all your Bashan. But it says this is Proverbs 16:1. It says the preparations of the heart in man and the answer of the tongue is from the Lord Yahweh. Right? So the way you answer things is from Yahweh Bashem El Shai. So the answer that King Solomon is about to proclaim, it's not of himself. It comes from Yahweh Bashem El Shai. All right? This is Proverbs 20:8. It says, a king that sitteth in the throne of judgment scattereth away all evil with his eyes. You see, so King Solomon is about to make this judgment, and is going to realize that you can't just get over on the king just because you think that you're being wiser than him. All right. But the Lord has endowed King Solomon with this, Yahweh Shai with this. Right. And through the Spirit, we are receiving of a spirit of wise judgment. OK, even it goes. This is Psalms 2:10. It says, be wise now, therefore, O ye kings, be instructed, ye judges of the earth. So the Lord is requiring us to use wisdom. You got guys now saying wisdom is not important. All right. Wisdom is important, man. All right. You got to be wise. Kacham. You got to be wise when it comes to this world that we're living in. All right. Because people will try to get over on you, man. So you got to use discernment. Right. Pray the Lord for discernment to be able to see what's going on. Right. But this is 1 Kings 3:23. It says, then said the king, the one saith, this is my son that liveth, and thy son is the dead. And the other said, nay, but thy son is the dead, and my son is the living. So the king's like, y'all, yeah, let's this is what y'all are saying. Let's get it all together. Right. I'll make sure I'm hearing y'all correctly. All right. It says, and the king said, all right. He didn't say, all right, but I'm adding that in there. The king said, bring me a sword. And they brought a sword before the king. And you talking about a baby right here. Why is the king asking for a sword? It says, and the king said, divide the living child in two and give half to the one and half to the other. All right. So, he's like, cut the baby. Give one half to this mother and give the half to the other mother. Then spake the woman whose the living child was unto the king, for her bowels yearned upon her son. Right. So she got sick to the stomach, thinking that her son was about to get cut up. And she said, oh, my Lord, give her the living child, and in no wise slay it. But the other said, let it be neither mine nor thine, but divided. So this is a dead giveaway. It says, then the king answered and said, give her the living child, and in no wise slay it. She is the mother thereof. Right. So the real mother is going to say she rather that this other lady have her child and that the child lives rather than the child be dead, cut in half. So the deceitful woman, right? The deceitful woman What was her thought process? Oh, divide it, cut it up in half, right? But a real loving mother is not going to be like that about her child, right? And so the Lord, the Lord gave Solomon the wisdom to be able to discern that. Okay. I'm going to read verse 26 in the NLT. It says, then the woman who was the real mother of the living child and who loved him very much cried out, oh, no, my Lord, give her the child. Please do not kill him. But the other woman said, all right, he will be neither yours nor mine. Divide him between us. You see, so she was just being demonic. She, instead of fessing up and saying, here, don't kill the baby, just give it to her. Right? She's like, all right, cut it up. But the real mother's going to say, no, let her have it. She rather a stranger carry her child rather than her child die. So this is a very, very wise thing that King Solomon had done. Right? And it says, verse 28, it says, and all Israel heard of the judgment which the king had judged, and they feared the king, for they saw that the wisdom of Yahweh was in him to do judgment. Right? So where was this fear coming from? One, to be able to use wisdom to be able to discern that. But two, also, the fear came in because the fact that he was seemingly willing to, to kill a child for judgment's sake. Now, ultimately, was he going to do it? No. He was never intending to divide that child in half. He just was using that as a means to an end to use judgment properly, because he knew that was going to show who really cared and who the true mother was. He was never intending on doing it. But nonetheless, people knew, like, oh, man, the Lord got to be dealing with him in order to make a decision like that. Okay? And so I'm going to go back up here to that verse that I mentioned as well. Let me see if it was in. Oh, right. Let me get this out. This is 1 Corinthians 6:2. It says, do you not know that the saints shall judge the world? And if the world shall be judged by you, are ye unworthy to judge the smallest matters? So this might even seem to be a small matter, right? You got two women arguing about whose child is whose. When it could be seen to be a small matter, but hey, the Lord's like, are you unworthy to judge the smallest matter? So sometimes you got to judge small and the great, man. Right? We always talk about, me and Brother Baar always talking about the period pieces that we watch. Used to watch some of the kings, and what they would do is, it's kind of like, that's where they get the idea of town hall or city hall. You have the king sitting on his throne, and then they would have a line of tributaries, right? People that would be coming up who would give things, but ultimately the king had to sit on his throne and listen to the concerns of the people and then give a judgment call on it, right? And so it says, do you not know that the saints shall judge the world? So Lord willing, we be at that number. We're going to judge the world. So the Lord is showing us how to deal with matters appropriately amongst people that walk up, right? He's showing us how to deal with matters, issues within the church and dealing with a brother, right? He's showing us how to be proper judges, right? He says, be instructed, ye judges of the earth, right? So the Lord is showing us how to be judges before we get a incorruptible crown. He's showing us how to do it now. You see, he's grooming us to be judges of the earth, man. All right, so now that I got that point, I want to jump back up to 1 Kings 3:19. It says, and this woman's child died in the night because she overlaid it, right? And so as I was thinking about that, I was like, overlaid it? I'm like, do that mean she, like, laid on top of the baby when she was asleep? Right? And so, yep, sure enough, when you read in the NLT, it says, but her baby died during the night when she rolled over on it. You see? So, and this is why, honestly, when you have a child that small, and now granted times were different back then, but you had a child that small, you're supposed to get a baby bed. I'm forgetting, a crib, right? You get a crib, but actually a crib is I believe a brother told me about that. That's really a den for animals. So even when Jake be like, yeah, I'm going back to the crib, you're not really supposed to say that. You're supposed to say, like, I'm going back to my house by y'all dwelling place, residence, something like that. But a crib, I believe, is a den for animals. But nonetheless, they call it a crib for dealing with children. But a baby bed, you're supposed to have a separate bed for them because of matters like this, you know. And I'm gonna look up the word overlaid, right? The word there is shakab, shakab, right? It means to lie down, lay on, laying with. Shakab, to lodge. It even says to lie of sexual relations or lie down in death. Shakab, okay? But nonetheless, that made me think about these two scriptures. Even from a child, a youth up, you know, she had a brand new baby. You would think a mother would be super careful with it. And I mean, you know, I've had small animals before, you know, laying, like, I'm being real right now. Like when they were like, I had a cat, you know, he was a kitten. You know, I like, you know, put him in the bed next to me or something. But I was always mindful that he was there. Even when you're sleeping, you always try to be mindful of that, you know. He was real small, you know what I'm saying? You want to be mindful of that type of thing. You know, and I know brothers like, hey man, you put an animal in your bed, but you know, when they real small, when they kittens, it's like, you know, it is what it is. But yeah, you know, I did. So, you know, no big deal on my front. You know, now would I let a big ass dog just jump in my bed? Probably not. But you know, he was a kitten, a few weeks old, few months old, you know, so it's mad small. But nonetheless, this reminded me of this scripture. This is Job 39:13. It says, "Gavest thou the goodly wings unto the peacocks, or wings and feathers unto the ostrich, which leaveth her eggs in the earth and warmeth them in the dust." Right? So she thinking that she put her eggs down in the earth and warms them in the dust. So she's keeping them safe. Right? It says, "And forgetteth that the foot may crush them, or that the wild beast may break them." Right? So you got you so-called got your eggs in the dust trying to keep them warm, and then you wake up in the morning and just step all on your eggs. Right? It says, "She is hardened against her young ones as though they were not hers. Her labor is in vain without fear." And this is what our women do. These were Israelite women in this story. Those harlots, those are Israelite women. Right? She is hardened against her young ones. And I'm not saying she did it on purpose. Right? You know, in today's society, women are hardened against their young ones as though they were not hers. They treat them bad. You know, I was just listening to a story recently about how a woman was beating her child because he looked just like his father. You see, so she was hardened against her young ones, though they were not hers, you know. And so, but this just reminded me of this story because she was warming her egg in the dust, essentially. She was keeping her baby warm in the bed. But then your reckless ass, I'm going to just be honest, your reckless ass rolled over on your baby in the middle of the night and killed your baby. Like, how could you just had a baby. It was only a couple days ago, only a couple days old, you know, which lets you know that the spirit that they come in, like, to not be cognizant of something like that. Like, you got new life, you know, that's laying in your bed and you just roll over on it and you kill it. You see, and this is a terrible mentality for somebody to be in, right? You know, Jacob don't let nobody step on their shoes, and Jake don't like nobody scratching their car and all this kind of shit. But you got a whole baby in your bed and you roll over on it in the middle of the night, just reckless in your sleep, man. And you know, I'm gonna say this too. You know, I've had some women that have, you know, that they sleep with and they can lay still. But I will say majority of women I've slept with are like reckless sleepers, man. You know, like they roll around a lot. They want to take the goddamn blanket and don't want to share the blanket and roll up in the damn blanket. You know, feet and legs everywhere, stretching out in the goddamn bed and got you on the corner of the bed. You know, so a lot of women are reckless ass sleepers, man. You know, so you got a newborn baby. If you know you sleeping like that, you definitely shouldn't even have them in the bed in the first place. But that's just like the way of the ostrich, man. Right? You reckless as hell rolling around your bed, and you how you lay, you know the baby start crying. Right? If it's getting smothered and getting rolled on, you know the baby is crying. So she wasn't even waking up to the sound of the baby, man. right? But jumping over Lamentations 4 and 3, it says, even the sea monsters draw out the breast. They give suck to their young ones. The daughter of my people has become cruel, like the ostriches in the wilderness. You see, so our people, our women have become cruel. You laying on your damn baby in the bed, you know. But this is how they treat our children in a terrible way. Very bad, man. I'm not saying all women, you know, you sisters in the fold that are doing right by, you know, our children. Hey, keep doing what's right, man. But you got a lot of them that are just naturally cruel towards the child, man. Right? But they become cruel like the ostrich in the wilderness, not caring about the true livelihood of the child. And even then, even when the woman was, that's how you know she was reckless. So even in your transgression of murdering your own child, you go and steal another woman. So now you commit another evil. You steal another woman's child and claim it for yourself. And then you didn't even have love for that child, because even when it was time, which lets you know she was still hardened towards the young one, when it was time to deliver the baby, instead of telling the truth, she was going to let that baby die too. So now she got 2 dead babies on her hand. You see? So the Lord was giving King Solomon the wisdom to discern this wickedness that was in this woman, man. So in the same way how the Lord is going to put us in situations coming in Jacob's trouble, where you're going to have to make proper discernment on things that are better for your livelihood and your wives that may be with you and brothers and things like that, and what's best for your family. So, you know, and what's best for the church and what's best for Akim. So always got to be wise about what you say and what you do and how you maneuver through the spirit, because wise judgment can make or break a lot of situations. So I know this wasn't long, you know, at least I don't perceive so. But I just wanted to get this get this out through the spirit. So, hey, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. I want to give all the praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachah Kodash, double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who rule well. And peace and mercy to the house of David, the hopeful elect. Until next time, Shalom.